I would like to start with the panel discussion. I would like to introduce you to the moderator of the session, Mr. Aniket Parikh. Mr. Parikh is the Managing Director at the Stallen South Asia Limited and is responsible for the tech developments, product innovation, production, and marketing. Stallen is a veterinary healthcare company with sales globally. With a bachelor's degree in chemical and biomolecular engineering and a double master's in engineering management and biotechnology enterprise, Aniket is academically well positioned for R&D and product development within the firm. Using his education and prior global consulting experience with Accenture, he has been able to scale Stallen, a family business, to multinational corporate. Mr. Parikh, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, words and looking forward to the discussion we have ahead.
Sure. I would also like to introduce other panelists on the panel. I would like to introduce Mr. Rahul Marothia, DGM IT Services GM at GM Pfaudler. Mr. Marothia is a young IT professional with over 14 years of IT experiences spread across Indian and overseas organizations, IT companies, and end-user enterprises, heading IT departments, project delivery, system development, deployment, and integration, and ERP implementation. His specialties include turning around situations to on-track, IT management, project and service delivery, and people and stakeholder management. Our other panelist, Mr. Sangram Kadam, is VP and business leader at APAC and is business leader at APAC and Middle East at Birlasoft. Mr. Kadam has an experience of driving business in growth markets like India, Japan, Asia Pacific, and Middle East, with engagement across Europe, US, Asia Pacific, and Middle East markets. He has helped many businesses in their digital transformation journey and made them truly digital enterprises. He has published many articles in leading publications such as Forbes India, Business World, and has been a winner of multiple awards from Oracle, SAP, IBM, etc. He has been honored with various honors such as being the chairman of Computer Society of India Pune chapter in 2019 and the member partner of advisory board at Oracle India. I would also like to welcome Mr. Ashwin Prajapati, Chief Information Officer at Symphony Limited. He has over 20 years of experience in leading manufacturing and IT industries for multiple project management, strategic planning, process management skills. He has worked with large companies for mapping business processes, automation on ERP and non-ERP platforms. He has served in various industries such as automobile, industrial machine and component, process industry and education. In past, he has served on organizations like Welspun and KPIT. I would like to move on to our next panelist, Mr. Ashish Sapat. Mr. Sapat is Vice President, Business Efficiency and Strategic Transformation at Rochem Suppression Systems. He's a digital transformation leader with expertise in change management, bringing impactful solutions to businesses. With over 19 years of global experience spanning roles in digital transformation, operations, strategies, sales, and key account management across a wide range of client industries and Fortune 100 clients. Mr. Sapat has led large multi-million dollar strategic programs through the life cycle from product service conceptualization, sales, and customer service operations delivery. Mr. Sapat has served on various reputed organizations like Wipro, American Express, and KLM in the past. I would also like to welcome our Chief Revenue Officer at ESDS, Ms. Rashmi Bhargava. Rashmi comes with over 23 years of work experience. She has expertise in sales and business development, strategic account management, global account development and growth, technical expertise on platforms and products, consultative and solution selling, territory management and expansion, hard-hitting negotiations, client satisfaction, and retention in new products launches. In past, she has been associated with Zinza Technologies and Society for Management, Human Resource Management, and Rad Bara and IBM India. That's our panelist. I would now like to hand over to Mr. Parikh to continue with the panel discussion. Over to you, Mr. Parikh.
Thank you, Shardul. Quick request. Can all the panelists, all of us turn on our video so it's a little bit easier for us to coordinate, in case of question answers. And for all the participants, for any questions, please put them in the chat group. It'll be a little easier for us to monitor. So we're missing one. We're missing Ashwin. There we go. All right. We can get started now for everyone if everything's okay. So my first question would be for Rahul. How does your organization plan the digital spend in this trying time, and how do you prioritize these different spends?
So thanks, Aniket, for asking the question. So basically, we have a 5-year strategy plan coming into the picture for the next 5 years, where we are planning for the digitalizations of the entire organization. We have started reviewing the current practices, where we are as of now, how many people we are investing in each and every department, and how we can move digitally. We are also planning to have some of the applications which are on a traditional basis, and how we can transform into the application. So this is there a 5-year strategy program we have started for making the entire organization as a digital organization, where we do not have any corner of the plant. If you visit, or if anyone will visit, we will not see the papers, and it will be total entire digitally perform shop floor and perform operations. We have already started putting some of the chaos. All our engineering drawings have been stopped putting into the shop floor and hard copies. There are big screens where shop floor guys can see the drawing and can all do the operations. We also have quality management system, which was like Excel, and now everything is on the application. So these are the few steps. We are also planning to have an integrated document management system, which can fetch all the records from my ERP, from my Salesforce, from my third-party application, and then can be put into across one server. So this is how we have started.
Aniket,
Hello.
looks like Aniket is on a mute. I think he's back.
Yeah, he's just rejoined.
Yes.
Aniket, are you back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
No worries.
Okay. Right, Rahul, I missed that. So I'm assuming you've finished answering your part of that. Do we have any questions for Rahul for now, or do we get going and move on to the next?
Maybe let's move ahead.
Okay, sure. So the next one is for you, Ashish. How does your organization tackle internal changes, stakeholder acceptance, strategizing the approach towards the change, and to make it effective? What we usually call change management or transformation.
Right. So thanks, Aniket, for this question. I'm assuming everyone can hear me. Good evening, everyone, and thank you to ESDS for having us on this panel. To your question, Aniket, so Rochem is not really new to this entire digital transformation journey, so to speak. We were forced into it. And when I say forced into it, I basically mean that, we started using SAP as our core ERP about 10 years back. and it was an on-prem instance. And obviously, over a period of time, there was the need to, refresh the hardware. And when the time came to refresh the hardware is when the whole advent of cloud was also taking place. This was around the 2014, 2015 timeframe when, the cloud journey for organizations was just about kind of getting off. And so that's the time when we took the call that we need to migrate to cloud, because that gives us the flexibility to focus on our core and also use SAP more effectively in the future when when we need to integrate more applications, standalone applications or cloud native or our homegrown applications onto SAP to make the entire business process journey more effective for our employees as well as customers. So and that was also tying in with the fact that our business was very fast evolving from a core manufacturing to a service oriented kind of a business, which required a completely different paradigm. And so SAP was really at the core of it, but also in a sense we had to expand the scope of what SAP could do for the entire organization. So therefore, that was the initiative we took when we migrated SAP onto cloud to migrate it onto the HANA database, which obviously gives us a lot more computing power and so on and so forth. Initially we migrated to a separate, different cloud provider, and recently during the lockdown, we shifted from that provider to ESDS due to a lot of efficiencies that we saw with ESDS. But coming back, so some of the other initiatives that we took up outside of SAP on the digital side, and this is more addressing the question of change that you're talking about. At first, the entire strategy was being done at the top level and being driven from the top, and there was not too much involvement from the users and the the business stakeholders who would be actually running those applications or those processes, and that was really building for failure. And I'm not ashamed to say that we failed over here, because that was a learning in itself, that we needed to involve the people at the ground level for them to be a part of the change, because at the end of the day, those are the guys who ask you, what's in it for me. So it has to be made a point to them that it's not to take away the jobs, or it's not to make them redundant per se, but it's to increase their own efficiency in the way they do work on a daily basis. So I think it's very important to make them part of any initiative in the entire process, right from the point whether you're building an application or whether you're scouting around for any of the applications that are there in the market. And if the use case and the business case meets, then move ahead with a proof of concept. So proof of concept is a very common methodology that we use to gain that acceptance internally with our stakeholders to be able to move forward with any initiative.
All right. So similar to you, when we did our implementation as well, we had people telling me, this is actually making, double effort now to do something that was much easier, or now it's becoming more time consuming, or some people were happy. They're like, oh, this is almost so good, it's taking away what we need to do here. Okay, there was an 8-hour job day, now I can finish it in 3 hours, so why am I here now?
Yeah.
So obviously we had those obstacles, and I'm sure most other people at some point of their career or some point of their change they would have had to face. Now, to add, you've done SAP. That's obviously the backbone of most software implementations or changes. But what other digital transformative softwares or applications have you developed or added to help move your business operations online?
So we tried with a sales, a Salesforce kind of a tool, which didn't quite work out for us. So, and this was very early in the game. I think it was a big paradigm shift for our sales team. So we put that aside. We didn't really move forward with it. But what we have moved ahead with on the service side is to do a little bit of digitization on the service aspects of the plans that we set up for our customers. So basically capturing data, giving us insights into what's happening real time into some of the operations that we have. So basically, this involves IoT technology. So, earlier, whatever data was being collected manually and then, shared on email, the data was being shared on email and it was getting collated, and then someone would take a look at it and do the analysis. And by the time you've done the analysis and given the insight, it's already too late. So we're trying to become a little bit more proactive in the sense of being able to identify, what the issues are and being able to react a lot more proactively. Going forward, I think, while like you mentioned that SAP remains the core, it's more to do with, how can we build these, small subsets of, applications, whether they're available off the shelf or whether they're available on the cloud, or if we need to do something simple in-house that can plug into SAP, just pull out the relevant data sets from there, feed it to the people who require to see that data, because SAP again is complicated, and not everyone has access to it. So it's about getting that data to the right person at the right time so that he's able to take an informed decision, empowering the person to be able to do it.
Right. No, now to further that, I have a question for Mr. Ashwin here. What would be your advice on how a business or an IT subset of a business starts with its business transformation journey?
Yeah, thanks, Aniket, for asking this question. With my experience on digital transformation or IT transformation projects, it is very important to have a business transformation. So in business transformation, the core is your business strategy, because your business strategy and your digital strategy both won't go, it will go parallel. It won't go like, both won't be in silo. Most of the organizations, what they do is that by developing couple of application or by implementing couple of some software, they thought that they are in digital transformation. But it is most of the time my experience is that this is more like a digital lipstick. You are just putting one or two application built up on Android, or couple of software you implement on SaaS or on prem. It is very important that your business transformation project, when you take up, it has got a two core component. One is the revenue and one is cost. When you go to revenue, you would be spending your effort and into the expansion of market, launching new product. When you go to the cost part of it, you will be spending technology, you will be spending your effort into the process automation on productivity improvement. Now both, in case of improving the revenue or reducing the cost, end up with a technology intervention. Now, when you go to technology intervention, again, it is very important to go with my experience is agile. It cannot happen that you start one big bang project which end up after 3 years, and then then your ROI, TCO will be also on toss. So, digital transformation perspective, it is very, very important that all your digital transformation strategy is aligned with the business. What you want to do, your intent is need to be very important. You cannot be in silo that you develop couple of application for sales team and marketing team and team, but it finally we need to do what is our intent, what the outcome we are expecting. So this is very important. With my experience, digital transformation perspective, the important part is that you should have a strategy in line with the business. So digital and business strategy should go hands to hands.
Sure. I mean, I fully agree with this. My time at Accenture, one of my clients was a US federal entity, and the project they had ongoing was a 23-year project. It just kept going with so many changes. I don't think we or anyone over there actually saw the end result. Every time there was a change, there was an already 10 more new requirements. So yeah, I agree with you. It's important to have it agile, to have the outcomes clearly defined, instead of building small applications, have a comprehensive overview when we come to these applications. Now, moving on for Rashmi, how does ESDS help organizations in their digital journey with different billing or business models so that, companies on a smaller scale or larger scale can find it easy to adopt and scale?
Thank you, Aniket. Very interesting, as you would know that my primary job is to sell. And a paradigm shift that I saw with the digital transformation and digital initiative is the budgets from or the so-called the decisive financial decisions have slowly moved on to the CIOs, right from the business. So when we would start, we would go to the business leaders because they would hold the budget, and slowly we realized that the entire thing is shifting to a CIO. But why? Why to a CIO? Because probably ROI has now become the main concern. We will continue to service our end customers, but at what cost? And what comes out, Aniket, with the regular discussion is how can you, as ESDS, help me save costs at the same time, do not dent my experience with the customers. So with that kind of thing, we keep deliberating and we thought, what do we do which can help our customers? So one is, can we do something where they do not upfront invest with us? So that means give them an agile business model, pay as you use. Can we then give them a billing cycle which is not static, which does not bind them to pay an XYZ amount? So, okay, static and dynamic models of billing. And all this is done through, the primary objective of providing an ROI and a cost-effective model to a CIO is to give them, anything that they pay based on the dynamic provisioning of resources. But how do we do that? We do that because we have an inbuilt intelligence to detect when our resources are active, when they're lying idle, when they're being used. So CIOs now do not need to lock in their funds while they are doing on their path to a digital transformation or journey. So that's how ESDS is constantly innovating ways to make CIOs happier when it comes to investing over a period of time rather than blocking them. And then cost takes over the entire journey of digitalization and digitization. Yes, Ankit.
Thanks, Rashmi. That actually makes a lot of sense. Instead of investing heavy on the capex to break up the cost over a subscription sort of model, which is not only what most softwares are doing, which is what vehicle companies, car companies, automobiles, microfinancing. It's the general thing to break up that cost over time to be able to scale up, down, and let people focus on more important business operations rather than just infra-related work.
Right.
So in that sense, it's very helpful. And Rashmi, I don't know. I mean, on the first slide, it was mentioned that one of the 4Bs was $1 billion. There was no percentage indicator there, so I'm assuming your job is a lot easier since that 1B is already completed.
Thank you, Aniket, and I'm sure this will be completed, hopefully, with the help of all the CIOs who are my budget holders on this forum right now.
For sure. Good luck to you on that. Also, next for Rahul, when we come to digital transformation, it's very important that each one of us, be it top down or at the bottom, everyone's skilled to use what you've implemented. The core of any good implementation is also training and usage. So how do you make sure that you skill or you reskill your employees in regards to this change?
So Aniket, if we talk about any new things coming into the organization, change management plays a vital role. First of all, like if any new software is coming, we need to make sure that the things are in line with the users. A proper training with the form of alpha, beta, and gamma. Proper training need to be imparted so that they will be well versed with the product, well versed with the implementation phases, and so on. We can have a proper project planning for the same. Recently, I will share one of the incident. Like it's not an incident. I will share one of the short story with you guys. It's related with ESDS. We are using Infor product as an ERP. Second number, if we talk about it, the world after SAP comes. in 2018 in terms of location, which is in Gujarat. And earlier we were on AWS cloud, and we were paying huge amount of money for the AWS because of the brandings and other things. Like we don't have to do anything. All the patch management and all these stuffs will need to be taken care by AWS. Then we gradually and slowly thought that it's not a time to invest so much on the cloud, especially with the AWS, because there are many market players in India who can give us the best services in terms of hosting the services. And that time we came to know about the ESDS, and we are really very happy to have the proper transformation. Again, it was my cloud to cloud migration from AWS to ESDS. Initially, it was again, I can say it was a re-implementation from cloud to cloud. For us, for IT guys, we can say it's only cloud to cloud, but again, for the user, any change management may like them, it is always a new implementation. So again, we thought that we having some initial teething issues, but then we have started telling the users that this is something, a change management where our company has saved so much amount of money, and now slowly and gradually we are in line and we can see the proper the place. And coming to your question again, the training is skills needs to be imparted in a proper way. Training needs to be given. A proper change management planning needs to be driven out throughout the organization so that any project will initially have the teething issues like we, because we never know moving out from AWS to ESDS may be a risk factor for me, but helping out with proper guidance from the ESDS, and especially thanks to Ankush and Yogesh, they have given us the proper data sheet, and that's the reason we are standing here. And from last 2 months we are doing a good transitions. Systems are in place, users are also happy.
Okay, that's good to know. So in the interest of time, will go through the questions, and we can have a big discussion maybe towards the end instead of small breakouts here, because we had some delay in starting. I know it's the middle of the work week, so people might have places to be come 5:30. The next question is for you, Sangram. Can you talk about some of the technology adoptions which give you an enriched customer experience?
Sure. Thanks, Aniket. I think it was a pleasure to hear from the other side. So whether it's Ashwin, Ashish, or Rahul, I think they clearly shared what is the customer they are looking at. So we as a service provider or a leader into digital implementations, I think 3 buckets is what we have come across. And I think if you see whatever Ashwin or Ashish or Rahul discuss, that will fit into one of these buckets. One, of course, was on the business process reengineering and the tools and technology which were associated with the business process engineering. So whether it is procure to pay, order to cash, or sales, somebody mentioned, or service, I think that was one area. The second, actually, absolutely the bigger area which we saw was on a business model. And I will give maybe some small example where actually digital really helped them to really evolve their business model. And thanks to starting with Industry 4.0 and now actually COVID, we found a lot of thrust on the business model. And the last but not the least on the experience. And we started calling it as the experience economy because this was the first area I think most of the organization with whom we have worked, they started exploring. So whether it is customer experience, employee experience, or for that matter the supplier and the overall ecosystem experience. But to start with experience, and I think if it is an employee, I think a lot of people started adopting cloud-based systems. So whether it is starting with SAP success factors or the Oracle Cloud or homegrown SCM systems which are ported on the cloud. That was one initiative. Second, I think the biggest area we saw in the customer experience, because most of us on the call, I think we are really worried about our customer and customer. I think that one area is getting addressed a lot. Anybody who really wanted to get into a digital journey, whether it is cloud or really adopting of digital technology, we are seeing, I think they first wanted to make sure that there is some connect with the customer through any method, means, or a technology, which ultimately we call it as a digital innovation or a digital journey. I think that is the biggest space we have come across. And again, tools and technology, if I have to see, I will again bucket it. the conventional tools where we are moving actually the legacy systems to some modernized system. So simple example, somebody is moving a workload which is on a .NET or a Java to a cloud. People started calling it actually a transformation. It may be a first step towards their actually real transformation, but that is there. The second, who are actually going for the package application. So somebody who wanted to move on Salesforce or the Oracle Cloud or some of the other CRM system, more from the customer experience perspective. And the third one was actually the lot of emerging tools. So whether it is AI, machine learning, data sciences, IoT, somebody spoke about IoT. I think this is the third bucket where we are seeing a lot of customers started using it. So these are some of the tools and technologies. And again, underlying, unless you have core, I will say, I will not call it ERP, but unless you have a core system, which can be SAP, Oracle, or for that any other, running either on on-prem or on a cloud, I think that becomes a very essence of your the digital journey. And from there, I think we are taking. So these are some of the trends, Aniket, we have come across. And most of the trends, I think, or projects what we have done, will actually figure out into one of these buckets.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. Now circling back to something you said, and that was discussed earlier by Rahul, this applies to Ashish. How does your organization empower the employees in this digital transformation journey?
Sure. I think if you see, and I think I'm sure most of us follow, whether it NASCOM or Gartner, a lot of data points. The data points are very scary. If you see last year when NASCOM, when just before COVID, we had a NASCOM summit, they announced that close to 50% of the workforce in the next 3 years will be jobless. I think all of us were really worried. Because why? Because they said, I think unlearning and then learning will be really, really difficult, because a lot of skills which will be required by this new digital economy or a digital generation will be a lot different than what we call or what we are doing today. But I think if you see, a lot of people are giving credit or thanks to this COVID, because most of the IT organization who are focusing on digital actually use this an opportunity to make sure that we are well prepared to handle this. So if I have to really speak today, maybe my 90% of my workforce is absolutely ready with the digital. Yes, there are still 10% of people who still are finding it difficult to really adapt to the new technology. And this is not only whether I have to learn machine learning or artificial intelligence or AR. No, even if somebody has to move a workload from say on-prem to cloud, there are people who still don't understand difference between a public cloud and a private cloud. What are the advantages? I think that is where our learning started. But yesterday, I don't know if you have read the article by Devjani, who is an ASCOM chairperson. She said that India can become actually a digital talent hub. Big opportunity after software engineering as a base. We can become really a global digital hub. And that is where I feel a lot of companies have already started their journey. The particularly non-IT, I feel this is a golden opportunity, because somebody mentioned starting a POC or starting some small engagement. This is where actually your digital will start. But whether it's easy, no. I think again, change management is going to be a really difficult. And that is where I feel the companies with the growth mindset, companies where the CXOs are involved, and companies where there's a lot of push and the customer have already benefited some benefits with the some or other steps on the digital, they are ready to adapt. So when it comes to Birlasoft, I think we being a technology company, again, I think we found it has to be mandatory. We started a program called as a digital age, maybe 2 years ago. So I may be a business leader. It is a mandatory for me to undergo that training. All of us need to clock around 20 hours of digital training, irrespective of your level, including a CEO. I think unless you do that, you don't even become qualified for your expense claims. I think those were some of the compliances and controls we put in place. Number one. Number two, I think since we work with a lot of customers, sometimes a lot of customers come with a lot of problems. And to solve or address those problems, naturally, we have to really look what are those technologies we can look at it. And we jointly work with our customers, including partners as well. ESDS is also one of our partners. So like if somebody wanted to really look at really a right solution where they wanted to move, whether it SAP or any other workload to cloud, what is that we required, whether AWS, GCP or ESDS, I think that is where we spent a lot of time, whether it is solution consulting or sales consulting. For us, it was a digital learning. And when it comes to hardcore implementation, suppose somebody wanted to implement say CX or somebody wanted to go on AI or IoT project, I think that was the third, which is a bit higher. I think we all had a gradual incremental journey. Whether we are ready till today, absolutely yes. Whether we are fully ready, may not be, because I think again a digital, the skill every 3 months we are seeing maybe a change in the skill or the level up skills. I think this is where we as a company are moving. But I think we anticipate, and I think that is where I think you can see most of the IT industry has performed really well during COVID, and thanks to digital, we were really able to adapt the fastest to the trend and deliver to our customers. So overall, I think I feel this is a big opportunity for we as all an Indian, whether it is IT industry or all our industry, to really adapt to the digital side.
Thank you. For you, Rashmi, how there's a variety of businesses. You have someone like Birlasoft, your family-owned businesses, large corporates. Now, how does ESDS help catalyze this digital transformation in terms of a customized solution?
All right, so this is very interesting. Oh yeah, I unmuted myself. Very interesting, that I'm just going to take maybe 2 minutes maximum. So one is that we are not a colo company, and that's by design and not default, because we are a cloud providers. We are a cloud company and strengthened by the data centers that we have. How are we helping our customers through digital transformation journey? Basically, we understand the CIOs need the ability to act. They need the ability to act with speed, imagination, and confidence. And to kind of aid this particular requirement, what we do is we kind of enable 5 key data related elements, which is like collection, transmission of data, data aggregation, distribution, and consumption. And how we facilitating this particular journey for the CIOs and for the companies as a whole is through, of course, device and data management. The other thing that is very important and that we've started emphasizing more and more is on the actionable, deep and predictive analytics. So data doesn't make sense unless you're able to take actions through it. And how do we provide this is through scalable and flexible platform. So in the entire digital journey of a company, we have identified, and all of us understand that the data forms the crux. But how do you use that data? So ESDS has gone further ahead and kind of started becoming a trusted advisor to most of the CIOs in telling them how to use the data, how to derive analytics from it, and how to do your predictive journey processes and structure. Aniket, I hope that answers the question.
Indeed. Makes sense. And I think my follow-through questions for other participants will further tie that in. The next one is for you, Ashish. What is your advice to CIOs who are yet to start this so-called digital transformation journey?
So I think, somebody also mentioned this earlier. I think it was Dr. Rajiv in his keynote. I think you need to take a pragmatic approach. And when I say pragmatic approach, oftentimes we kind of, the people who are developing the strategy around DX tend to get caught up between, what business wants and what they can deliver. And a lot of times that kind of doesn't converge. And in order to kind of, circumvent that, you've got to be very practical about what are your 3 or 4 key business outcomes that you need to drive. And then really, drive down from there on. So essentially, I think the CIO has to be part of the discussion that is happening right at the very top, because it's very key for a CIO to understand, what is the strategy and what is the goal and what is it that the organization is driving towards. It's no more like, the CIO is like a 12th man. If I were to take a cricket analogy, the CIO is very much part of the middle order who's going to go and, knock the ball out of the park. The third thing is, I would say the last thing rather is the CIO needs to have a very collaborative approach. And when I say collaborative approach, it's across all facets of the organization. So, the CIO could be a jack of all trades for all I care, but essentially the ability to be able to get all stakeholders together and, to be able to bridge the skills gap with the HR, to infuse new technical skills with, training, that kind of mindset is required. So it's a lot of cajoling and the soft skills which come into picture over here. Of course, the technical skills, you have people to help you with to navigate that. But 90% of change management is all, all through interpersonal relationships.
Agreed. I mean, without change management, you're going to have a failed implementation, and with a failed implementation, all fingers come pointing at you for not only wasting time but also efforts.
Yeah.
To add to that, the next one's for you, Rahul. I understand, you guys are a conventional sort of manufacturing engineering company. Now, come pandemic, that brings a whole new dimension to what you do and how you operate. So I wanted to know, how is a CIO, sorry, how are you grappling with the issues such as working from home, supporting LOB, supply chain, third-party vendors, managing projects, and also solving issues through technology and whatever tools we have available these days.
So, Aniket, first of all, for us, it was a great challenge when we came to know that the entire nation will be locked down. We never thought that the situation will be much worse. For us, the important part and the critical part was to how to handle our entering users, because they normally works on a workstations, and being into the manufacturing firm, we have, like, if GMM Pfaudler is a pioneer for the glass-lined equipment vessels, and for us, it is like hard for the company to drive with the engineering. So it was very difficult task for us. That uh, internet connectivity at home for all the user, it was another challenging. And during the lockdown, it was like we thought that how we can manage, because they cannot have this proper connectivity at home, and they cannot have the AutoCAD running into the picture. They cannot have the SolidWorks running into the picture. Then we thought that the risk, and we have to proceed further. We have started moving the workstation at their home. We have talking to the ISP vendor to give us the internet at their home. And in next 7 days, the 50 stations was established in the Gujarat stations with all the internet facility, and they have started working from home. So it was a good deal for us during the lockdown. Internet provider helped us. We can manage to move all the machines to their home. Rest all the users were on laptops, so we don't have any issues. It was also lucky for us that on February 2020, we have gone live with O365. Earlier, we were on G Suite. So migrating to O365 also plays a vital role, because all the meetings were now taken into the Microsoft Teams. So it was a good thing for us to move with O365. Supply chain, obviously, we got stuck with the supply chain, especially if I talk about the procurement and other stuff with related to business. As we want to cater with the pharmaceutical companies, we got some kind of relaxation from the government and from the local authorities, and we started moving the material material in. So that was not a critical point for us, but obviously from IT point of view, supply chain was almost nil for us. We thought of bringing some more systems into the picture, but we cannot.
Right, I agree with you. I mean, I only wish is, had Geo been implemented 5 years ago, maybe India would have been more better prepared for this pandemic with better connectivity. Because I don't know if it's just, but half the times employees were like, yeah, I'm working from home, but there's no internet. Now I don't know if this was the truth or it's just another excuse. It's the new excuse for my train was late, or there was a flood or something. But
Aniket, I think that excuse is
This was
still
something.
being given for today also.
yeah, it's 2020. We have to adapt. So
Yeah.
I guess fingerprint scanners are of the past, and we need something that digitally tracks if an employee is working. We're very far from the days like the West where you trust somebody, you give them a job, and as long as they do it at their hours, we're okay with it. We're very conventional in our thought process that it is a 9 to 5 and you have to be online and working in those hours. Moving on,
Like
for
you.
Mr. Ashwin, what as for you is the starting point of any transformational journey in your vertical?
Aniket, this question from me, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Sorry, Aniket. Okay. Okay. So digital transformation perspective, when you start journey for like our vertical, we are into the we are into the air cooling business, and We have a presence into the globally 35 plus countries, as well as in India we are leader. So when we started our digital transformation journey, what we identified, we keep it in mind, was the customer experience. So what customer, how we can make customer experience better. So from there we start, that was the first baby step. We started our digital transformation journey, keeping in view of customer experience, like how our sales service enable with the IT platform. So today if you see, our customer service is not only the call center, but it is also on WhatsApp, it is also on speed to text. So there are 7 to 8 alternative ways customer can log complaint to for Symphony. Similarly, when it comes to the sales perspective also, like customer have a multiple ways they can buy. They can have a distributor to buy the goods. Same time we have also have a website on which they can book. They can they can generate, they can just visit our Facebook page, and inquiry get generated, and next moment our distributor give a call. Even during pandemic situation, we could able to run our business only with using this digital platform like Facebook and all, where we were getting constant inquiries. There are lead generation engine we activated, and we continue to run our business. So idea is that start with the keep it in mind customer first, rather than like you would be thinking of putting bots for your invoice processing. I would give more priority to the my customer experience, rather than, yes, internal process efficiency is important, internal process optimization is also important, but you have to rightly balance and trade off between these two, whether you want internal process to be more strengthened or focus more towards the customer. So you have to do the right balance, because it should not happen that you started the digital transformation, all your internal processes are excellent, but for customer he's getting the same experience which he was getting prior to your digital transformation journey. So that's how, like keeping this in mind, we started our digital transformation journey. We also have ensured that we encase low hanging fruits, rather than and we also focus on continual improvement, rather than so every small projects we start, every sprint we start, let's say, we educate the customer, we educate our internal change management aspects, and we ensure that with the continual improvements we continue to move towards the digital transformation journey. So this is the approach we have adopted in Symphony.
No, it's good. It's good to see legacy companies, taking a step to move towards more millennial UI or interfaces to approach customers as we adopt in this day and age.
And
Now,
Aniket, one more point, like in entire this digital transformation, you need to be technology agnostic. You cannot, like stick to one technology. Like SAP is right now, we have a SAP in core, but you see we have a many SaaS PaaS applications are there. Those are seamlessly talking
Mhm.
through API with SAP. So that is also very important. Like you cannot marry with single product, but yes, you should know what is best suits to my business. Suppose CRM, let's say one CRM suits to me may not suits to the pharma company, just example. So you have to see which
Right.
and second would be like on the cloud perspective, like thanks to ESDS we have been partner with them, like last 4 year plus. So there also, like upscaling our infra, or getting the infra, that is also one good aspect. We got it from ESDS, that whenever we need infra, very quick, very short, I mean very quickly we get the infra available through the partner like ESDS. So we hosted all our applications. We don't own a single server in our premises. We have more than 10 to 12 application, and we don't own a single server. All either it is with a public crowd, or we sometimes choose the SaaS, software as a service, but we don't have even data center in Symphony.
Very nice. Rashmi, I seriously hope you guys are using some Symphony air coolers for your server. Moving on, this last question is for you, Rashmi. You are fortunate. Your business has seen an uptick in the times of COVID. Just like masks, people are all about digital transformation and moving to the cloud and work from home and all of that. So how have you dealt with this sudden uprise or demand?
So I'm just going to take a cue from what you said about 9 to 5. There is an ad which talks about a guy leaving at 6 o'clock and another of his colleagues saying, "Aaj aadhe din mein ja rahe ho, half day." And he comes back and then he tells them that the 9 to 5, 9 to 6 that I've worked, I've really worked continuously without taking any breaks, etc. Now, what that I'm drawing a simile there is that it's important for people to understand how foundations change. So our first everybody, and I wouldn't take my words back when I say cloud is the most misused word today. Everybody talks about cloud. So important part is to help our customers understand what cloud stands for them in their journey of digital transformation. And when that is
Right.
understood, so how do we really deliver flexible, on-demand resources and solutions? And thereby reducing the risk of wasted IT resources for them. Once our customers see this understanding of using cloud for the digital transformation, which we are obviously providing through our in-house R&D, where we are able to customize solutions based on the specific need and requirement of the customer, their industry, their vertical, giving them cost saving up to 70% through flexible plans and innovative billing models. These are small things which are not large jargons, but our customers see the impact of ESDS helping them move onto the digital journey through cloud enablement and through various other resources and applications.
That's right. Awesome. Thank you, sir. I'll take a quick minute to talk about my experience on our end. When I joined our family business, we were very old school. We were using Tally, very basic. Most of the work was paper pushing, any approvals, go desk to desk physically. Like someone was talking about all the plans going to the factory floor were actual plans, physical copies. So we've tried to take on technology wherever we can. We brought on SAP HANA to replace Tally to bring on material management onto a software. We've used SAP LIMS to bring on all our QC equipment online. So all the approvals that happen get automatically tied in with the purchase team. We have operations globally. We have manufacturing sites abroad, which makes it a little bit interesting. Um, so it's been a big change. We've also added Salesforce tools to track our employees, to generate orders. Those orders get linked into SAP to sort of make the entire process more seamless. So it's been a learning process for us, and ESDS has been very kind to help us out with the entire cloud-based operation so far. For a company like ours where we cannot afford or we don't need to have servers on site, we've been able to use ESDS's cloud-based hybrid model to host. So I appreciate everyone's time. Rashmi, Shardul, my client relationship manager Shabnam, and everyone at ESDS. And I appreciate all the participants logging in. If we have questions, we can go over that now. But as far as our question and answer session, that's done at the moment.